Welcome to Spirit Journey Collective. I'm your host, Sarah Ty. Get ready for compelling conversations with guests of all walks of life who believe they have found their purpose. Together, we will uncover unique backstories, hearing the raw experiences that led them to the work they are doing today. Let's expand our minds together with the captivating stories and inspiration that awaits. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Spirit Journey Collective. I have a really wonderful guest today. Her name is Lady V, and she's a spiritual release coach as well as an author consultant. And I'm just so excited to have you here. Thank you for being here today, Lady V.
Hey, thank you, darling, for having me. I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. And so I hope that somebody gets to roar in their greatness today.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about R.O.A.R too. So we definitely have to go over what that means to you. But why don't you start first with what it means to be a spiritual release coach and an author consultant?
So I am a spiritual release coach. In fact, I'm not just any spiritual release coach. I'm actually your favorite spiritual release coach. And so that's why I like to say I'm your favorite spiritual release coach. And what it does is I actually tap into you a little bit deeper than most coaches or most therapists go. Sometimes they just like to touch the surface. They give you the opportunity to talk about what you want to talk about and how you want to talk about it and things like that. Well, I am the one who actually go to the bottom of the barrel with all the sticky stuff is, the stuff we don't like to talk about, the stuff that hurts us the most, the stuff that we try to overlook as if it doesn't exist. That's who I am. I like to be at the bottom of the barrel. So, because in order for you to heal, you got to break. You got to literally clean out everything. You cannot, a lot of times we think that, oh, I can fix my foundation. I'll just patch it up. And then you wonder why a year later, 2 years later, your house has been flooded. Well, that's because you keep patching it up. You keep, putting a band-aid over something that you need to really just tear down the walls and literally fix and rebuild. And some of our homes is like that right now, where you're looking at it and you're looking around like, wow, I need to really, and that's because you have a lot of cracks in your foundation. And so that's what I like to do. I like to be the one to come and seal up your foundation, to help you and give you the proper tools to help you seal up your foundation. And so I'm a coach all the way around, even on the author side, where I actually help new authors. And I do have some veteran authors because they've been in the game long enough, but they've been screwed over by so many people that they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. So I try to show new authors how to be a self-published author, how to get their story out, how to be efficient with their story, how to market it the right way, and actually just know that they're not losing their story. They're not losing the concept of their story. They're not losing a lot of money either, because some of these publishing companies is literally they're charging you out the gate, and then they say that they're taking a certain percentage, but they're actually taking more, but you don't know that they're taking more because they send you a invoice that they've created every month on their own instead of just sending you the actual invoice so you know what it is. They create one and they send it to you, and hopefully it's right. And normally it's not, but hey. So I teach authors how not to get screwed over, because I was that author. I got screwed over when I did my first book. And so I don't want people to be there anymore. So that's what I do in a nutshell, you could say. So I help people write their stories and transform their lives at the same time.
That's amazing. I love both of those things that you shared. When you were talking about being a spiritual release coach and what that means, it really made me think of Tower card and tarot. So I'm a tarot reader and a channel. Like that's my business and what I focus on. And a lot of the Tower card is about having a broken or rotting foundation, and basically your house can't stand until that's cleared out. And, so when the tower comes up, it's always like, it's so funny. 9 times out of 10, they know exactly what it is. that's holding them back, but they're holding on to it, right? It's usually some kind of a toxic thing, but it could even just be limiting beliefs that are just really wedged in there. But yeah, the tower, it can be so scary, but it's all about rebirth. It's just, you have to, like you said, you have to go in and excavate what doesn't belong. So that way now you can have a stronger foundation and rebuild at a place that's healthier. And I love that too, because most people don't want to go there. You're absolutely right. Most people want to keep it light and fluffy. And because that's what most of us want, right? When we're
Right.
seeking something, we're seeking someone to like kind of make us feel better. But it's totally like off topic, but like my partner, like when he gives massages, I've never had one, like I've never done the deep tissue. I've always liked like the Swedish ones, and he likes to do the deep tissue. And at
Ooh,
first I was like, "Ooh, this is painful. I don't like it." Now I'm like, "Oh, actually, no, you're getting rid of some knots. Now I feel better." Like I would never
uh-huh,
have I never understood. I would always see the deep tissue and I was like, "Oh God, no, that sounds painful. No, thank you."
exactly.
And now, I'm like asking for the deep tissue from him because that's all he does. And it's like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had all these knots back here. It's the same thing. It's in like a more emotional, mental mentality. It's the same thing of what knots do we have buried underneath there that aren't being touched because we're just kind of band-aiding it, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, I really, really love that. And then also what you do with teaching authors as well. I mean, I don't know much about that realm, but I know it's pretty hard to get your book out there, not just get it out there, but get it seen and found. And, so having someone there to help guide you through the do's and the don'ts, I'm sure is extremely helpful for those that are looking for it. So, I mean, thank you for doing both of those things. I would love to hear your backstory. Like, how did you find? So, you did share a little bit about being an author and how going through that has helped you realize, oh, I need to help other people, which I love. But like when it comes to the spiritual release coaching, where did that stem from? Like, is it something you've always done? Is it something you fell into? I'd love to know.
I was chosen for this. And when you chosen, you are chosen and you chosen. And you can fight. And what I've noticed is the ones who are chosen, we fight the most. We fight the hardest because we don't want to do it, okay? And we fight the hardest, but we're the most impactful. We're the ones who actually make a greater impact on people's lives because we are chosen for this. You know, my backstory is I was molested at the age of 8. By the age of 10, I was running and running and running away, and I was put out of my house. So I really been taking care of myself since I was at the age of 10. By the age of 15, I was a model, trying to help protect other women that was out there in the streets, trying to survive. So by the age of 20, 21, I was really just a high price call girl. And I lived that life thinking that that was the life for me because I was looking for somebody to save me. I was looking for somebody to love me, somebody to help me survive through this, just guide me through it. And I I found myself in relationship after relationship after relationship, just going through the pain and the hurt of what I was dealing with. I was running from the monsters within my home, not realizing that as I became older, I started running from the monster that I was becoming. And after my grandmother passed, I lost all my mind. I was like bumping, like, just screw the whole world. And I felt like I was on a suicide mission because I wanted to die with her. And I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be present anymore. I didn't want to live this life anymore without her because I felt like who was going to love me now? Who was going to protect me now? Who was going to understand me? Who was going to really guide me and give me and pour into me? And there was nothing. There was nothing. And so I found myself going in and out of all these bad relationships again begging for somebody to save me. And so the last relationship that I did, I actually married. And it wasn't that he wasn't a good person, but he wasn't a good person for me. And he he taught me a lot of stuff in in the relationship, was how to be patient, but how to love me more, because he wasn't loving me at all. He didn't know me. I knew him, but he didn't know me, and he wasn't trying to get to know me. He wasn't trying to know who I was, because it wasn't about me. It was all about him. It's always been that way. And so I fought through that, but I had to learn that, oh wow, wait a minute. I'm so busy, and I know that it wasn't never ordained by God, because I married him out of spite, because somebody told me that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't wifey material, and that nobody would ever marry me because I wasn't wifey material. And so he married me for stability, because I reminded him a lot of mom. It was kind of like we were just going through the motion, and I was dying. I was dying physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually. I was dying on the inside. And a lot of times we try, especially as women, we mask our hurt. We put a mask on it, and and we try to smile through it, but the smile is so fake and phony. Everything about us is just fake and phony, because we're just trying to get through that moment, trying to get through that time, so nobody will see the hurt, nobody will see the bruises, nobody will see the pain, nobody will see the emotional scars that we're wearing, the trauma that we're holding. And I just was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to get off this boat, but how do I? And I took a lot of stuff, and I'm glad that I did, because it actually allowed me to see that karma's a bitch, and what you put out in the universe will come back to you tenfold. And so I ate a lot of stuff, because I put a lot of stuff out there. I put a lot of bad stuff out there. And I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of, but I did. And so when it came back to me, I just took it, because I felt like I deserved it. And in that process of deserving it became that little voice of, told you you wasn't worth it, told you wasn't enough, and I felt like that for so long. And then I just decided that one day, I don't want to be on this hamster wheel anymore. But I was still fighting. I was still fighting my journey. I was still fighting what God has called me to do. I was fighting it, because I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to I didn't want to help other people when I was broken myself. Like, how do you, and a lot of times we think that we hide behind all these titles. We hide our pain, we hide our hurt behind all the titles, and it doesn't make us feel better. It's still the same. It's still the same hurt and the same pain. Just now we just got a title on it. That's it. And I just was like, God, why me? And he said, why not you? Because I groomed you, and I picked you personally, because you're gonna save millions of people. You're gonna help people come out of their misery and out of their hurt and change their mindsets. And I'm like, but why me? But why me? And as I started going through the journey, after he dropped me in the forest, because some of us so stubborn, he gotta just drop us off. Just there you go. You just sit right there for a minute, and you just think about it. Kind of how our parents used to say, go to your room and think about it. That's how that's how I felt. That's how God was. He dropped me in that forest, and I stayed there for a long time, until I surrendered, because I had to get tired of fighting it. I had to get tired of running from my calling, because when God called you, you can run, you can fight, you can scream, you can holler, you can do whatever it is you want to do, but you can't hide, because it's coming for you. That's all I can say. It's coming for you. If that is your calling, if that's what you're supposed to do, it don't matter what you do. It's gonna still be sitting there waiting on you. When after you get through with your temper tantrum and all your fighting and all the other stuff that you got going, it's coming. You're still gonna be sitting right there, still waiting for you. And that's what happened to me. Even though I was fighting it, guess what? It was sitting right there waiting on me to claim it. And when I claimed it, I just was like, okay, God, I'm tired of fighting. And so I started embracing and claiming. And in the process of me doing that, I started to heal because I didn't realize that he was going to take me on a journey. I'm thinking that in my mind, oh, you want me to help these people, but why? Help me. You know what I'm saying? And if I would have just stopped fighting long enough with myself, because that's what we're doing. We don't even understand. We a lot of times we don't even realize we ain't fighting with God. We fighting with ourselves. And when I got tired of fighting with me, I realized that, wow, this wasn't actually so bad. It was some work, but it wasn't so bad. And I'm actually glad that I did surrender because now I'm living a better life. Now I'm actually being able to heal my brokenness so that I can help other people. And now that I actually have my freedom and my peace, I just want to share that and give that to everybody else. I just want to just be like, hey, you deserve it. You gotta feel this. Like I can't give you mine, but I can help you find yours. Because it's a great place to be in. And so that's where I was with mine. I was chosen for this. I didn't want it, but I take it and I embraced it and I'm glad that I did.
Wow, that's quite a story, quite a backstory. I'm so sorry for what you went through when you were younger and, having to navigate that, into adulthood and everything. It's so interesting when you hear how, like, what happens in our lives and how it spins our trajectory. But there's always some kind of a catalyst at the end of it, right? Where there's some kind of okay, so what are you going to do about it? And that's the hard part, especially when we're stuck in that victim mentality of like, everything is happening to me and, I can't control it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. There are things that happen to us that are out of our control, but what are we going to do with it? And that's the hardest part. And I think most of us run from that. Most of us, and I'm speaking from experience too. It's so funny when you say that when you're chosen, and I want to say too that we're all chosen in different ways. You know what I mean? We're all,
Yeah.
it's not, so it's not like anyone listening might not be chosen. We're all chosen for different gifts. And that's really what it is saying yes to your own gifts. But I ran from tarot too. When tarot kept coming to me, I've been reading for years for myself, just, on my own, but I had no intentions of being professional with it. And that was the one thing that just kept coming up. And I kept saying, I'm going to say for a good 6 months. So I had started my spiritual journey a few months before that came up. And then I was like, no, nope, something else. Give me something else. Give me something that people will actually take seriously. Okay.
Right.
Nope,
Right.
it was tarot. Tarot was the one thing that it just kept coming up till I finally was like, fine, I'll do it. And then I loved it. And then I was so glad I did. You know,
Exactly.
yeah, it is interesting how sometimes we have that strong resistance. And it's usually, like you said, you're fighting with yourself. For me, it was like the fear of what would people think about me. And that's because I cared about what people think about me, right? So I would love to hear about, I know, so you teach, is it just women or do you work with men too?
I work with men too, and I work with couples.
Okay.
Um, yes, because I believe, first of all, we have to bring marriage back because marriage is a good thing. In our basic instructions, it tell us that a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. Of course,
Mhm.
we have to learn how to be good wives too. You know, and so I believe in strengthening in your marriage and being able to be equally yoked because a lot of us we wasn't ordained to be with the person that we're with.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why we're having all these complications and all these things. And that's because you forced a marriage that wasn't for you,
Right. Yep.
and now you're in this marriage and you're like bumping. It's like two rams, two bulls, just boom, boom, boom all the time. And you're clashing and you don't know how. And so I give you the tools to either learn how to stay together or figure out how to be good in your own space apart. Because sometimes we're just better as friends. You
Right.
know, you have to know the reason and why. Now, I'm not telling you that I break up marriages. No, I don't. Because that ain't what I do. But in my course, it teaches you how to be honest with you, how to be authentic with yourself. Because a lot of times as people, we're not honest with ourselves. Like I said, I was looking for somebody to save me. Some women were out here looking for men to save us financially, emotionally, and we're taking whatever we can get, even though he ain't really the one for us, but we're accepting these things. Men, they're finding women who's like, well, she's kind of all right, she got this, she got that, or she's pretty, or she got a body, or whatever, or she got some good stuff, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? We're doing this backwards. We're doing it backwards. And so I teach individuals how to actually learn to unlearn the bad, to relearn the new, learn how it really is with you. Because a lot of times we don't know who we are, you know? And I tell individuals that's really the first step, is learning who we are, releasing it, releasing the baggage, and then learning who we are. Because after you release, what you gonna do then? You gotta relearn who you are, because you done let all this trauma go that you were holding on to, that became you, that you don't know you because you lost you. So you never got the opportunity to learn who you were. And that's what I am. That's like right now I'm in my rebranding stage, because I had to release all the foolishness and the negative, and then I had to relearn who I was. I had to know what I liked and what I didn't like, and I'm still learning, because I didn't know. I didn't know. I was hiding behind some titles and this and that because I didn't want people to know that I didn't know me. I didn't want you to know that I didn't really know the real me. I didn't know who I was, because again, I too cared about what people thought, because people have always cared about, people has always had an opinion of what they thought about me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so I took those limited beliefs and I applied them to my life, because apparently that's how people see me, that I'm not worthy, that I'm not enough, that I'm not this, that I'm that, and I'm this and that. And so if that's how they see me, and that's how they feel, and let me do the same.
I really love how you mentioned, helping couples. So there's the old paradigm of what marriage looks like, and that typically is the woman submitting to the man, and and I can like attest to all of those things. I mean, up until 2020, I was always in a relationship, and especially and there's a time where I was a single parent, and I was just like, how am I supposed to do this on my own? But then I figured, after the last awful relationship, I was like, oh no, I need to figure this out. And I did. I was really surprised that, oh my gosh, I could be a single parent and have my own apartment and support me and my child and not need a man. And then I went like a whole 3 years where I went on a few dates, but I wasn't in a relationship. It was just really about me and getting in a relationship with me. And then I'm in with my partner now for a little over a year. And it's so crazy when you're actually with someone who actually does see you as an equal. And then,
Yeah.
for me, it's been a whole healing journey about learning that I am an equal, that my voice matters, that, oh my gosh, I can tell you that something bothers me and you actually will hear me and then do something about it. What? I've never experienced that before. So there was so much trauma and so much confusion because, again, when you're so used to a certain role that you play over and over, when you get tossed a healthy example, you're like, wait, what do I do with this? This isn't in my
Exactly.
my workbook. This isn't what I'm used to, And so it's been a really beautiful journey learning how to be more open to that and letting healthiness in, but I do think that there is this whole thing about learning about how to do that in a marriage or a healthy relationship. And like you said, either you both can get on the same page and grow together, which is obviously the ideal piece, or you might have to go apart because one or both of you are not on the same page and can't get on the same page or won't get on the same page. Right. So I do love that you offer that. And I like that you say you also work with men, because I do feel like in the spiritual realm, women get a lot more attention than men do. And I think that while women have needed it, I think men need it. If we want to have them join us in this more of that equal balance, they also need that healing. So they need to be included the way I see it. So I love that you do that for both. And it's time to take a short break from our wonderful speaker. Are you in the need of guidance around love, career, family, life, or purpose? Embark on a spiritual journey inward with an intuitive tarot reading. Depending on what you're needing and looking for, I offer private one-on-one sessions as well as personalized email readings. It doesn't matter what the question is. A reading with me provides connection with your higher self, offering curated personal messages, or what I like to refer to as spiritual roadmaps, guiding you to the future outcome you desire. Readings are insightful and affordable. If you'd like more information or to schedule a reading with me, please see the link below. So I know that you have an acronym called R.O.A.R. And so I'd love to hear, like, what is that and how do you use that to help your clients?
So I always tell people I want to help you roar in your greatness, which means that it's time for you to actually release the old narratives, release the old baggage, release the limited beliefs, because we have so many of them. And it's time for you to release those, because you can't roar in your greatness if you don't release them. And then once you release them, then we have to start overcoming the obstacles that's standing in our way, because there's so many that stand in our way. Because again, fear is one of those things. We fear to actually roar in our greatness. We fear the unknown on the other side. So we never live in our purpose because we don't know what's on the other side of that thing. So we be like, and we instantly think failure is sitting over there because we've been told that so many times. But then we watch other people do it and succeed. And then we say, oh, I can do better than them. Oh, I can do that. But then you never do, because every time you get ready to get to that point, something is stopping you. And so it's time for us to overcome those obstacles that's standing in the way of you being able to live in your purpose. And then once you start learning how to overcome that, then it's time to awaken the rebel that's within inside of you. We have a little girl or a little boy that is sitting there, that's been hurt, that's been beat on, that's been whatever it is that it has been. And we forget that because we're adults now. So we forget that there's still that little person inside of us that's waiting to bust loose, but they're waiting on us. And we can't be great until we release them too, until we allow them to say, you know what, let me help heal you, and then let us roar together. Because we have to do this together, because we're attached to one another, because it's us, you know? And so you have to learn how to awaken the rebel that's sitting inside of you to say, guess what? I am here. I am awake. I am ready to live in my purpose. I am ready to do what God has called me to do. And then when you do that, then I'm going to teach you how to rise to the occasion. So we're roaring, because what's the purpose of doing all the other three if you ain't going to rise to the occasion and be great? If you just going to sit there like, well, I've awakened the rebel, so okay. Well, what the rebel's supposed to do now? Just sit there and look at you and let you look at it like, okay, now what do we do? We're going to rise to the occasion. We're going to roar in our greatness, and we're not going to care about society. We're not going to care about men. We're not going to care about these things, because we have to understand God gave us a gift for a reason, for us to use it. We all have individual gifts that God gave us. And a lot of times people are afraid to use their gift. And some of y'all use your gifts to help other people. And sometimes that's your mission. But what if your mission is really to use your gift to help you, to make you succeed? But you're too afraid, so you'll go work for somebody else and help them succeed, and then get mad because you don't have no off days. Then you're mad because the pay is too small. Then you're mad because, oh, I could have did this, and I could have did that, and I could have did this. And then some of y'all get into these companies where you think that it's your company. You want to run it your way. You want to put your own seasonings and all this whole other stuff and change the recipes and do all this whole other stuff, and change the concept of how somebody else is running a business instead of you just getting your own business or starting your own business up because you have that in you, but you're afraid to do that. And so I teach people how to do that all the way around, how to roar in their greatness. It is time, it is time, it is time. But it's up to you because you have a choice.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Everything you explained. And then I love the last one, rise to the occasion. Because I do think a lot of us who have been on healing journeys, and I'm also speaking for myself, we get to a point where it's like, okay, we see things differently, where we feel more healed, we feel better. But then when it comes to actually taking up space and doing the thing, we still play small because it's so comfortable to do that. And it reminds me a lot of, in tarot, I like to call the sun card the butterfly card. It's like you've done the journey, you've found yourself, you have unlocked a new piece of you, right? And so when you think about like a butterfly, that's like when you come out of the cocoon with these beautiful wings. And yet a lot of the times, like the shadow side of the sun is when you have these beautiful wings, but you hide them and try to still look like the caterpillar because people know you as the caterpillar, not as the butterfly. So it's like, I'm afraid to be the butterfly because what will people think? And, can I really do this? Am I really capable of flying when I was always crawling? And so it's kind of that same, like, are you going, now that you've done this work, are you going to let it go to waste? Are you going to actually do something with it? And so I feel like that piece right there is probably what so many people, especially on these healing journeys, need, is that extra push. You can still continue. Like, it's okay to jump off that cliff now. You've done this work and now you're going to soar, but you have to do it.
I am the one to push you off the cliff. I'm not going to just let you sit on and just look at you. You got all the way up here. What you doing now? Like, go, bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to remember that even animals, even in the animal kingdom, they let their young go. They let them go. So I have to let you soar. I have to let you spread your wings. Because if I keep you in the nest, you did all the work, but now you still can't fly. You gotta let them fly. Spread their wings. They're gonna make mistakes. We made mistakes. And it's okay. And that's what we do with ourselves. We hold ourselves back with these tight grip fists because we're afraid to just open our hands and just say, you know what, let me just let go. And let me just soar. Because if your wings is tight, how you gonna fly?
Yeah. Oh, it's true. It's true. What is one struggle that you see more often than not in your clients? And of course, ranging for both men and women, like what's a common thread struggle that you see? And then what's advice that you would give for that if there's any listeners who might be able to relate to that struggle?
So there's two that I actually have been seeing a lot of. And that's one, I call it the Superman or Superwoman syndrome and anger. Those are the two things. And so let me kind of break those down for you. The Superman or Superwoman syndrome is we always feel like we have to be the one to fix it. Every time somebody calls, every time somebody needs us, every time something's going down, well, here we are. They call us and we I'm on the way. You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, we have to learn how to sometimes just say no. I'm not saying say no to everything, but a lot of things you can say no to because a lot of baggage isn't your baggage. And a lot of times as superheroes, we don't rest, but we have to rest because if we don't rest, we will be our own kryptonite and we can die. And if you die today, and this is what I tell each one of my clients, if you was to die today, what would they do? Because tomorrow ain't promised to you. What would they do if you was not here today? They're either going to figure it out or they're going to go to somebody else who's going to do what you do. So why keep holding on to that? Why keep letting that be your baggage? You have to learn how to separate, how to let that baggage go, how to let them take care of their own baggage. You can't be the bag lady. You can't be the bag man because you start getting confused. Because what happens is you're carrying your baggage, their baggage, everybody else's baggage. You just picking baggage up along the way. Just, you know what I'm saying? People call you, all right, let me take it. Let me pick it up. And now you're looking and you got all this baggage. You don't know what's yours and what ain't yours. What's somebody, you don't have no idea because you have literally consumed all of these things. And now it's time to declutter. It's time to carry the basic essentials. What is it that you need from you? See, when people bring their baggage to me, I give it right back to them. Let me tell you. And I know people say, well, how do you do that, Lady V? Let me tell you. I had to learn because I was one of those people that if you came to me and said, hey, I need you to fix it, I'm there. I'm Johnny on the spot. But now I've learned to fix my boundaries, to set my boundaries. So I decide what I will do and what I won't do. That's about learning who you are. It's about learning your limits. If I got 5 meetings today, I'm not going to take a 6th meeting because now I'm overexerting myself. You see what I'm saying? If somebody missed their session, they missed their session. I'm not fit to be like, oh, well, let me do this and let me do that and let me, no, you missed it. Try it again next week. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to learn how to say no. We have to learn how to set boundaries. We have to learn how to do that. We have to learn how to make sure that other people is held accountable for their stuff. We have to stop being accountable for their stuff. That's not our stuff. We have our own stuff that we need to hold ourselves accountable for. Why are we trying to take on their baggage and their load too? And so the only way to do it is by saying no, by choosing you first. Ask yourself, is this really something I want to do before you respond and say, okay, I got you. And then as soon as you say it, you're like, I don't feel like doing this. I don't know why they called me. Well, they called you because you made it easy for them to call you. See, I don't make it easy for people to call me. They pick and choose when they want to call me. They be, and let me see what day it is. Because see, on Saturdays, I don't do anything. That's my off day. That's my day for me to do whatever it is I want to do. I don't work. I don't do anything. I don't do nothing for nobody but me. Because I'm choosing me. Like, I don't care what you're talking about. And don't think that people ain't call me on a Saturday and say, hey, I need you. So call me call me tomorrow. But I need you now. Yep. Okay. But I can't help you now. Well, I guess I just have to find out what I'm going to do. Great. That's what I need you to do. You figure that out. And if you still have a problem tomorrow, then you call me. See, that's setting my boundaries and not allowing other people to guilt trip me into doing what they want me to do. Because that's my time. Value your time. It's what I tell people. Value your time because you are a priority and your time is valuable. And if you're not valuing you or valuing your time, why do you expect that other people will? Why? Because they're not. They're not going to do that at all. And so that's my first thing. And that, like I said, take off your Superman and your Superwoman cape. Take it off sometime. Go wash it. Go throw it away. Go throw it. Sometimes I can't even find mine because I done took it off and threw it somewhere. I don't even know where it is. You know what I'm saying? I got to go search for it sometime. And that's okay. But I had to learn how to get to that point. And I learned how to get there by setting boundaries and learning how to just say no. And then anger is another one. The reason why we're so angry is because we're holding on to all this stuff that people causing us, that people giving us that we don't want. But we're allowing them to do these things to us, and then we get angry about it. But if we eliminate this, we can eliminate the anger too. See, I had to work on my anger because I was angry. I was angry for a lot of reasons. I was angry because I was in this trauma. I was angry because nobody wanted me. I was angry because of, you know what I'm saying? I was angry because my grandma left me. I was angry at God. I was angry. I was just angry at the world. And I had to understand, why am I so angry? Because I was lashing that out. And we have to remember that the energy that we put out is the energy that we receive in. And so I kept putting out angry energy, which means that I kept receiving angry energy. And once I changed that and changed my process and the way that I looked at things and the way that I thought of things, because a lot of things we kind of like teenagers. Oh, the world is against me. Everything is so wrong. And what else could go? You know what I'm saying? And because I was at that point, as a teenager, everything was just, oh my gosh, the end of the world, And so I became angry at all these things. But once I started to let that go and I started putting out good energy, I started receiving good energy. Once I started being the thing and being the person that I wanted people to be back to me, I started receiving that. Not saying that every now and then I don't have one don't trickle in that try to take me for everything, because they do. But I've learned how to even see that and learn how to channel it where it's not so bad to the point where I'm losing myself in it or they are making me angry. Because you have to understand, when you start allowing people to make you angry, now they can control who you are because you're giving them that control. Well, I can't let nobody control me. I don't, except for God. That's it. That's all. And I have a hard enough controlling myself, so I have to give it to God. So I sure don't want man doing it. That's why I don't. That's why I use a lot of the analogy as being in jail, because we don't understand that a lot of times we are in jail. We are in our own personal jail.
100% on all of that. I mean, those are really great examples of, I think, what most people who listen to this can relate to. I mean, I definitely, the people pleasing syndrome, right, is like that superwoman, superman thing, and I mean, even when you get past the people pleasing, there's still usually those core people that you're gonna put the cape on for, even if you don't necessarily have to, and learning like how to set your own boundaries for that. And then the anger piece, that kind of makes me think a little bit of how I read the Queen and the King of Swords. Like the Queen of Swords, I that's the boundary card. Whenever that one comes up, I'm like, you either need to set some boundaries or you're learning to set boundaries. And the thing is, the Queen is she wields her sword to draw the line in the sand, and she can be really rigid. And some people are like, why are you being so cold? And it's because when you're coming from that people pleasing state, you almost have to be, because otherwise people don't take you seriously. So you have to be firm. You have to be, you do have to be rigid and cold. But by the time you get to the King of Swords, it relaxes. So your boundaries don't relax, but you relax, because now you're in a state where you can see where they're coming from. You can see where you're coming from. You can see the box they want you to squeeze yourself into, and you can say, no, thank you. Thanks, but no, thank you. And there's no repercussions to you. You're not going to beat yourself up for saying no. They can try to come at you, but they can't touch you, because you're at the state of, you don't impact me, like what you were saying. You can't affect my mood because I'm not allowing you to. And so it's like that journey of the boundaries. So I like the two of those together, because I think that it's good to know that, especially those that are going through learning how to set boundaries, they might not know that part of that is dealing with anger from being stepped on, anger from being ignored and not listened to, and people just walking all over them for years. I mean, there is like a legit reason for that to be there, but sometimes they don't understand that, and they're like, why am I so angry while I'm setting these boundaries? And it's like, well, because now you have to release what happened to get you there. You can set your boundaries and you can hold them without that. But I think it's the journey of learning that it's okay to say no without that like animosity, because in the beginning there almost had to be. So I love the two of those together. From here, I would love to switch to what I like to call synchronicity story time. It's just one of my favorite segments because it's just so magical. So I would love to know, do you have any fun synchronicity stories that you could share where things just lined up perfectly in a way that you can explain? Do you have anything like that you could share?
So for me, I've been in this journey, and like I said, I'm in my rebranding stage. And this was not an easy journey. Let me tell y'all something. This was not an easy journey. But once I surrendered, and I just was like, you know what, God, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. I had to look back, and I've actually manifested everything that I wanted to do. I've done in my journey, even through the pain, even through the trauma, even through the hurt, even through all the things that I've been through. I did that. However, I think the best part of this whole thing is I lost my business partner in 2019. And that was crazy for me. And from just a rare skin eating flesh disease, you know what I'm saying? And I lost her. And then last year, I lost my other best friend of 30 years. And I was about to lose another friend of 30 years at the same time. And so one was coming out the hospital, one was dying, going to be with God, okay? And this is when I actually gained my freedom. And I was just like, Lord, this is just crazy. Like, I'm asking you to, don't take both of them from me. Cause I'm gonna be out of pieces. Like, I don't know if I can handle that right. And he didn't. Like I said, he took the one who really needed to go home because she had nobody to help her through what she was going through. And everybody that she knew was dead except for me. You know what I'm saying? And she had family, but they were killing her slowly. And so it was like, in that, I kept hearing God say, are you gonna hold on to this? Are you gonna go into a deeper depression? Are you gonna come out this roaring and swinging? And I didn't know how to do that. I just didn't know how to do that. And one morning I heard forgiveness. Forgive you, forgive them, and get up. And I did that. I called everybody. I did what I needed to do for me. And then one night, I literally prayed and I said, Lord, I forgive me finally for holding on for so long. I forgive me. And I needed to forgive me. And in that process of forgiving me, probably about a week later, I woke up and I had this new sense of peace, this new sense of freedom that I had never felt before ever in my life. I almost didn't know what it was. I almost didn't recognize it because I never felt it. I didn't know what it was. And through that, it seemed like I woke up free. I did a photo shoot. I mean, I was smacking it. I was feeling good and confident and all these good things. And it seemed like since that day, everything been going into alignment. Just boom. I did a women's conference. It went well. And then, you know what I'm saying? It didn't go as well as I wanted to, but good things came out of it. I met a lot of good people, and that's what God needed me to do, was meet a lot of good people. And then I started doing this podcasting journey where I've been on all these different podcasts, sharing my story, shattering the silence that I didn't even know that I could do, because I can help people all day, but I don't want you in my business. You know what I'm saying? I'm that person. I don't want you in my business. I don't want to tell you my story. And like, I don't want to talk about me. I don't mind helping you, but I don't want to talk about me. I don't do it well. And then I learned that, wow, I'm doing it better than I ever thought I could. Okay, wait a minute. What's this about? Who is this lady that I don't know? But I'm recognizing her when I look in the mirror now. At one time, I didn't know who she was. I couldn't even recognize her. And even through the thickness and the fatness, because I got a little chubby, I see her and I love what I see. And I'm like, wow, look at this lady. She out here being boisterous and bold and beautiful and doing all these things. And I don't know who she is, but I'm loving her because I set out to be that. And so when all these stuff start to line up for me, I'm looking, it's like having an inner outer body experience, because I'm like, wow, good things is really happening for me when all I've gotten was the shit show all my life. And I have to say it like that. That's all I've gotten was bad after bad after bad after bad after bad. That now I'm receiving all this good and all this wonderful. It's like magic. It's like, wow, the doors are really opening for little old me. Okay. All right. And even though, again, we face that fear of walking and roaring in our greatness, I chose to walk through the door and know that it's okay, and that when I touch the handle, it won't burn me. Tell me that that's not the door for me. And so now I can actually walk in it gracefully and know that, wow, this is beautiful. This is what he meant about heaven on earth. And sometimes I feel like I'm walking through a fairy tale. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking on cloud 22, and I've never done that. I've never been able to wake up every single day happy, just free to be happy. Like, I wake up happy. I'm like, what is this? And somebody said, well, it's called happiness. Welcome to the door of happiness. Come on in.
That's amazing. I love that. And I think it's a testament too for those that are going through hard times. Like this inner work, when you heal, when you release, when you forgive, it really does lighten the load. It really does take you to that better place, but you have to be willing to do that work. And so I know it took, we all go through our journeys a little differently, and we all get there at different times, but it's possible for all of us. And so I love that story so much. And this has been such a really wonderful conversation. I've loved having you on and hearing your story and hearing what you offer to everyone. How can our listeners find you if they want to work with you, either as a author consultant or a spiritual release coach? How can they find you?
Well, you can find me at www.linktree, ENP, Elliot Knight Professional, or Lady V, ENP. That's what it is. Sorry. It is Lady V, ENP, on Linktree. And you'll have all my links, everything that you want. You can book a free consultation with me as well. And so you can definitely, again, www.linktree, Lady V, ENP. Take the Awaken the Rebel Within, Release, Rebuild, Rebrand course, because it will definitely change your life. It will help you to heal. It will help you to roar in your greatness. That's all I can say. It's just going to help you roar in your greatness and find your freedom and your peace, so you can live in this magical world.
I'll be sure to put all that in the show notes, the link tree and any of your socials. Thank you so much again for being here. This has been such a really wonderful conversation full of wisdom and a lot of great information for those that are trying to heal themselves and release when they need to.
Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.